There are many people in this Huron lake. It can show there's the ruins of an entire civilization down there. That sounds like Atlantis, not really. But if there really was an ancient civilization underwater here, it must be very developed. About 10,000 years ago, two pieces of glass as sharp as a knife separated from a stone tool and fall to the ground without anyone noticing. They were buried for thousands of years until 2013. And then the scientists pulled it up from the bottom of the lake. Here on a small lump of mud the size of a milk can, at a depth of about 30 meters. And inside, they see exactly two pieces of obsidian. Type glossy black volcanic glass, formed when the lava cools very quickly. After a thorough inspection, they recognized that these pieces were from Central Oregon. It's about 4,000 kilometers away. They discovered this prehistoric site of the Great Lakes on the Long Alpena, Emily, a form of underwater terrain. It once connected what is now Michigan and Ontario. Back then this was dry land. Ancient people used it to build traps for animals like the caribou. When the glaciers receded and the Great Lakes began to form, say this. Obsidian is the high-tech material of antiquity. It's extremely sharp, ideal for making tools. Look closely at the pieces. They're obviously man-made. You can see the bumps and the feather edges. It is carefully cut. That shows the ancients didn't just make tools here, but also access to obsidian from where satire comes from. Maybe it's thanks to an exchange network. Huge trade spread across 6 countries. Over 100 years ago, people guess under the Great Lakes there may have been ancient societies, but no one has proof. So the work at DEV. It's just that this flooded archaeology is so important. Fever for more than 10 years. A research group trying to learn more about the 10,000-year-old ruins and civilization left them behind. The cold water of Lake Huron is like a time box. Help preserve things for thousands of years. To date, they didn't just find unique stone tools, but there's also an old tree with roots and underwater peat swamps to store seeds and leaves. It's like the Ice Age version of Pompeii, a scene that's frozen over time. These findings. It also helped scientists create technology and a new way of doing underwater archaeology. So far they've used sonar robot divers and divers. What's interesting is that the tool found on the Alpena Strip, Amberley, is much smaller than her contemporaries nearby. Maybe that shows another group of people lived there, with its own way of life. Now, all the peat swamps they find. It's about 9,500 years old. They're full of needles, and the leaves can reveal the environment at that time. Usually these things decompose quickly on land, but cold fresh water has preserved them. Group in Michigan. I'm working with scientists at Cambridge. You're going to extract DNA from the rest of the samples. If successful, they can identify species that used to live there and no more. There are still years to discover. At this prehistoric site in the Great Lakes, another famous bird archaeological site, it is a lost city, Pavlopetri, the archaeologists say. It's the oldest submerged city in the world. It's been discovered and recognized so far. Pavlopetri is about 5,000 years old. It means that we exist before heroes. Greek legend. In Homer's story, it was first discovered in 1904. It was almost forgotten until 1967, when Nicholas Fleming found it again. He described it as a Bronze Age city. It's now underwater that's about 3 to 4 meters thick. 1 year later, he returned with his scientific team to study the ruins. For 6 weeks with just a tape measure and a basic grid, they've mapped the city. They saw an area that's almost 300 meters long and about 150 meters wide. There are at least 15 projects. The 5 roads to tombs and about 37 small stone tombs. They also saw signs that the ruins were lasting to the island itself. Pablo Petri, nearby. They unearthed the beautiful obsidian pottery and silicon stone blades, even a tiny bronze statue. It may date back to 2800 BC. Most of the work dates from 1650 to 1180 BC, and the site was left open until 2009. When a powerful research team launches a new project, it took 5 years to really dig into the history of Pablo Petri. This time, they have better digital mapping tools and better diving equipment, so it's possible to explore and even excavate underwater. They found about 9 m of construction, including a great hall and hidden streets. And they're digging up more pottery. It shows that people have lived here since about 3000 before Christ to 1100 BC, and that the city used to have a population of 5 million to 1,000. No one knows for sure why the city sank, but many scientists think it's the soil. Probably around 1000 BC, or as late as 375 AD. Because it's the oldest underwater city ever known. So some people believe in Pablo Petri may have inspired the legend of Atlantis. Another candidate for the title of Atlantis, located near Japan. 1986. A local diver exploring the waters near the islands Ryukyu and came across a giant structure with perfectly sharp steps. It's about 25 meters deep. Today, the Yonaguni Monument. It's one of the places the most mysterious water on the planet. This structure is almost half the size of a football field. It looks like a giant stone pyramid with stacked pedestal floors and stairs. No one really knows where it came from or who built it. Some experts believe that the site may be more than 10,000 years old. It is older than the pyramids of Egypt. There is a theory that this is the last vestige of the 7 colonies, bearing your name, a legendary society in the Pacific. It's like Atlantis. Another view is that an ancient culture, living in Japan from an early age, like 50,000 BC, it may have been built. But many scientists and geologists still doubtful about the possibility of an ancient civilization under this water. Although Yonaguni has narrow aisles, the arches and the corners look like street blocks. They say it's very much like natural stone artifacts. New Giant's Causeway in Northern Ireland, for example. The whole block is still attached to a larger plate of rock. That means it's not piecemeal. And how the rocks stack up may be more related to earthquakes and tectonic movements. This area is in the Pacific Ring of Fire. Very strong activity. A marine geologist keeps going back down there. And every time you see something new. He said he saw tool marks on the stone, the symbols engraved on the rock face, even animal-shaped stone structures. He believes these carvings point to a culture from 6 Asian countries. He said he's identified 10 different offshore structures. Yonaguni consists of a ruined fortress, an arch of the 5 temples, and a giant museum. These works, it seems to be connected by roads and canals. Some parts are surrounded by what could be the Confucian stone wall, giant, based on stalagmites in a nearby underwater cave. It only formed after the cave was flooded. The city is believed to be at least 5,000 years old. His supporters say they've never seen an earthquake. What makes a shape like that? On or underwater? But the children blame it all on the wolves. And confirm swirling currents with marine life, punched holes in the rock. If you want to make your own conclusions, this place is open to visitors. And it's definitely an amazing diving experience.